Well, everybody, here I am again, Tony T.C. Coleman, with my Drummer Knows Best podcast, Unlimited podcast. And today I'm talking to one of the best in funky soul, rockin' music, drumming, comes from the great Sly and the Family Stone. Y'all make some noise through the computer. Ah! For Greg Enrico, Sly and the Family Stone.
Hey, Tony T.C. Coleman, drummer knows.
That's what I'm talking about.
Subscribe, like, and share on all platforms.
Okay,
All right.
everybody. We're here at Drummer Knows Best, my Tony Coleman podcast, Unlimited podcast with my favorite drummers and musicians, bassists and guitarists and singers and all of that. And today I'm seriously excited right now because I got my main man, Greg Enrico from Sly and the Family Stone. What's up, Greg?
What's doing, my friend?
It's good to see you, man.
The funniest dude on the draws, man. When every time I talk to you, you make me crack up.
I'm a funny guy. What can I
You
say?
are. That's good. It's a good thing.
I try to be happy, man.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like sometimes you just have to think, man, like, what is it not to be happy about? We're alive, we can
Yeah.
walk and talk and hear and see, and you see people who don't have that, and you go, and they're happy, and you're like angry. I see people angry. I'm like, what the hell is
Yeah.
your problem?
Yeah. Yeah. I've learned that a long time ago. Right?
Right, exactly. But before we even go into, we're having our conversation, two drumming brothers. But before we go in any of that stuff about what you've done, I just want to say this to you, and I'm gonna say it right at the beginning of this thing. For me personally, man, you are one of my toppest drummers ever. You.
Well, I appreciate that, Tony. I
And
appreciate
that's
that.
that's from my heart, boy. I love Sly and
Yeah.
the Family Stone. Sly and the Family Stone was the only band that made me want to be in a band.
All right. I love it.
Like I was a young kid growing up and buying LPs, records, and I heard lots of bands and saw a lot of bands and seen a lot of drummers playing behind people. But as far as a band goes, Sly and the Family Stone, y'all were it for me, man.
Those were amazing times, man. I call that period, coming up in San Francisco. I was fortunate. I mean, I was born and raised there, so I didn't know the rest of the world wasn't like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just that time. Call that the musical renaissance of the late '60s, early '70s. It was just amazing that time. The stuff that was created during that time period from all those musics coming out of there and other places too, but still lives today. I mean, it just keeps recreating its interests in human beings, and it's just amazing. It's great to be
Well,
part of it.
yeah, and we grew up in some weird times. Like I'm
Yeah,
69, I'll be 70 years old in August 12th.
yeah,
But we grew up in America during a period where people were fighting to seriously be free and be individuals with freedom without
yeah,
people messing with you. And as we
yeah,
said back in the day, harassing you, like,
yeah.
and it was all the racial divisions and all the
Hmm.
women rights and all the stuff that we thought in America we had got to this, and peace, brother, and right on, and we had to
Yeah,
fight for equality. And the only thing that, but during all of that chaos, in my opinion, was music was the only thing you could go to and
yeah,
escape it. You go
yeah,
escape it.
yeah.
And most bands, especially out on the West Coast, because you're from Oakland, am I correct? The Bay
San
Area,
Francisco, San Francisco.
San
Yeah,
Francisco, Oakland, Bay Area.
yeah,
Let's just say California. Me growing up in Florida, California was like something you was like, I would be like, man, I want to go to California because of the music.
yeah,
You had a diverse group of songs and music from California that made everybody think that's where the freedom is, the horizon of beauty in America. You
Hmm.
know, all the leaves are brown, the leaves are brown. And then, yeah, wanna take you higher.
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
So
It,
between the rock and the roll and the funk and the soul and between Grateful Dead and Tower of Power and
the,
Jefferson Airplane before they became a starship and you know were you
Sly had produced actually a great slick from the Jefferson Airplane, then became a
Ye-
Starship. But like early
right.
on, way in the beginning of their
Yeah,
yeah,
I know. And a lot of
yeah,
people don't know this stuff. That's why we're going to have a conversation about these things because too many times great people like yourself, great people who inspire people like me uh, pass away, and then everybody's like, "Oh, I miss him. I loved him. He was so great," and this, that, and trying to give you your props. When you're dead and gone, I'm giving them to you now, man. I'm telling
well,
you,
I appreciate that, Tony.
you deserve that, Greg. And this
Yeah,
this is
thank
no
you.
bullshit. When I heard Sly and the Family Stone, it was kind of like the Beatles. When you guys went on Ed Sullivan, it
Yeah.
was like, everybody made a big deal about the Beatles because they were from England
Hmm.
and everything they did came from Little Richard and rock and roll.
That's right.
Black people in America, they were emulating that. And America didn't appreciate it until these four white English cats started doing it and had some little crop tops. And they was like, oh, it was like, man, goddamn, it's from here. But y'all don't think it's amazing here until they bring it over and do it.
Well, it's just like all that whole English wave, Stones, Beatles, they were all influenced by our, meaning, where we're from, the US, our indigenous blues and soul music,
Yeah.
R&B, and I mean, so were we. I know you were, and I was, because we
Hell
grew
yeah.
up in it. But I mean, it took that different perspective to make everybody here say, "Oh," you know, and look at it and say and appreciate
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
And then
Yeah,
and then for you, man, you guys were you're the first band, and any young cats that's listening to this conversation, I'm gonna share this history with you guys because it's important. If you guys, Prince came from Sly. Prince
yeah,
came from what
yeah.
you guys did. I'm gonna stop saying Sly. We all know it's Sly Stone, but it's the Family Stone. You know, you guys have inspired and influenced George Clinton, Maurice White, Earth, Wind and Fire, P Funk, all of that stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, you you took soul music that was mostly all black bands and rock music, all white guys,
Yeah,
and then you guys mix it up. Now you got a mixture of everything. You got white cats, got young ladies in there, you got black
yeah,
cats, you got a mixture of everything, and you done mixed up rock, funk, country, every damn thing in your music. And it came out Sly and the Family Stone. With Sly was just, I mean, what was it like when you guys got together, all of you individually? Because we know all of you in the band, Freddie and all of that, and Larry and you and the sisters and
yeah.
was Sly
Cynthia
like
Rose.
Cynthia, yeah, and what? So you all are in a room together as you're going to be a band, and it's Sly who's multi instrumentalist, just sitting with you, going, "Here's something, and let's go for it." How did how did?
I'll tell you simply what happened is I didn't even know Freddie, Sly's brother, Freddie
Yeah.
Stewart, Freddie Stone. We had a
Yeah.
band the prior year before starting the Family Stone. And I was actually going to a rehearsal. It was December of '66. And I was
Wow.
going to a rehearsal over at Sly's
I was
house. Sly,
10. I was 10, man.
10 years old. And they hadn't told me, but that night I was coming for rehearsal for the Stone Souls. That was they were Freddie and my group. And so I come in and I didn't see anybody. And Freddie and Sly were there. they're at the kitchen table, okay? And I said, "Where's everybody?" I said, and they looked at me. They kind of chuckled because they were messing with me, you know. Well, we're starting a new group tonight, and they go, "You in?" I said, "Well, I'm here, but what are you talking about?" You know. And so Sly had already planned that night for everybody to show up for the first time, and they did. Rose wasn't in the group in the very beginning. She came in about 6 months later. But that night, Cynthia showed up, Jerry and Larry, and we all met each other for the first time. We didn't even play that night. We talked. We just were looking at
Right.
each other, tripping, like saying, you know, "Oh, this is going to be, yeah, this is what we're going to do." And Sly had already made a couple attempts at putting a couple different configurations together, groups that didn't work. And so this time he had the grand plan. You know, he had handpicked everybody. He went to Freddie. He said, "You bring someone from your group." And Freddie said, "Well, I'm going to bring Greg." And he goes, "And I found this bass player. Someone called me up and told me you got to go see this bass player at this club." He went out and checked him out, and they exchanged numbers and everything. And Jerry had been in his ear after his gig. Jerry worked down on in Broadway Street in San Francisco, where there was a lot of music going on at that time. And so after he would always go to the radio station, you know, and they fire one up, you know what I mean? And he kept telling Sly, "Man, you got to start your own group, man. You got to start your own group."
Sly was
And
DJing still. Was Sly DJ?
he was a DJ, yeah. He'd go down. So I want to say go down
Right.
to the station. He was at the radio. He was doing a show. He had a great radio show.
Right.
He had one of the hottest radio shows in the Bay Area, and it was KSOL at that time. He played R&B. They called it soul music then,
Yes, of
you know.
course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he had a piano in the studio. He'd sing commercials, and it was just you know, off the chain, right? And so anyway, we met each other all that night. We just talked, and we're all like, kind of, and this is during uh you know, the 60s, when, you know, I mean, at that I think there was even some riots going on, you know, racial
Yeah.
tension things in
Yeah.
different parts of the country. And so, but it was like, yeah, okay, well, this is going to be cool. You know, what's the music going to be like? You know what I mean? It's like all this different input and all these spices, right? And then the next night for a week straight, we rehearsed. Well, we talked about we're gonna have to do some, you know, to start gigging. We're gonna take some top 40 stuff, you know,
Right.
and rearrange it. We'll make it our own. Whatever we do, we're gonna make it our own. But the intent was to do new music, eventually work it in, but we'd have to do,
Mhm.
you know, top 40 to start playing and gigging. And that's exactly what we did, you know. And we rehearsed for a week straight. And this fellow, Rich Romanella, owned a club called the Winchester Cathedral. They had a Redwood City, and we were going to open up there, start there at his club. And
Circle
he would,
Star, the Circle Star
no,
Theater, the Circle
it was
Star was in Redwood.
the red, yeah, Circle Star was there, which you
I
guys
played there.
played. Yeah, you played there a couple times. Um, and so we, you know, we started gigging that following week, and that's how it all started, you know. And it was
So
exciting. We were digging it, you know. It was like,
I'm just hearing you talk about it. I'm excited right now, man.
yeah,
Those were just some for when it came to music, man, those times were just great because
yeah,
every town and
yeah,
every city had live clubs with bands.
yeah, yeah,
Everybody was playing music, bands everywhere. And of course, like when you're just starting out, you got to play the well-known cover tunes to get
right,
people to notice you.
right,
And then when you nail the cover tunes, then you start easing in your own stuff.
right,
That's how you
yeah,
become a band, you know. And
right.
but those so when you guys started out, man, you must have been about 15, 16 years old.
I was 17 and a half on that day.
17,
And
17.
so I still had 6 months of high school left. And then boom, you know, my college was the road.
So here we go. You're 17 years old, and all you guys, Sly and the Family Stone, are playing now.
Yeah.
And you got your record out at Sly and the Family Stone.
That came out Well, so we're at the Winchester where Dave Kaperlick, who was a A&R and VP of Epic Records, he
Mm-hmm.
had heard about the group. He came out, and so that's where he first seen us. And in about that first 6 months, the end of that first 6 months, about halfway through '67, we were signed by Clive to Columbia
Yeah.
Epic. And then we came down. We said we need to get out of the Bay Area. We came down to Las Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a place called the Pussycat Go-Go on the Strip, and we played there 6 nights a week from I think it was 8 or 9 p.m. till 6 in the morning. Of course, not straight. We'd take breaks, but around 2, all the other places were done. So all the musicians came in from town, were hanging out there, and
Yeah.
and it was a trip. So during that period, when we were working our booties off, is when we would on Monday when we had off, we would drive into LA to CBS on Sunset there, and that's where we recorded the first record. It's a whole new thing. Yeah.
So,
And
so
then at
I
the end
from
of
what I so from what I understand, you guys did your first record, and it wasn't quite what you wanted it to be.
Well,
And
no, not exactly. It wasn't commercial. It wasn't. It was like Columbia didn't know how to market this, or how to promote it. And I mean, no one. Matter of fact, we didn't have a lot of support in the very beginning
right,
because it was like we were out of the box. We had male and female, black and white people.
yeah.
That's not
So
what's happening now.
yeah.
No, this is happening. This is what we're feeling.
So when you released your first record, though, if I'm not mistaken, the record was, I mean, you guys recorded what you wanted to record as a band, but
Right?
from what I understand, the sales weren't exactly what you guys were
No,
expecting. And then the
no.
producer, somebody said, you got to make it simpler, man. You're doing too much and make it simple. And then that's where sing a simple song. That's how that
Well,
came.
no, the first one was Dance to the Music.
Dance to the music, right?
Get
Okay.
on up and dance to the
Yeah.
music. That was
Cynthia.
Cynthia's shout out.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it just could, Dave had gone to Sly and says, man, you have to do, I love what you guys are doing, but you're going over everyone's head. You got to get the public's attention first, make them feel comfortable in listening to you. And
Yeah.
then you could say what you want to say. And he simply got that, and out of frustration, he said, well, let's just dance to the music, have some fun. Everybody could understand that. And
Yeah.
uh and then feature everybody within that presentation. And that's what it was. And it just when it came on the radio, it just popped out like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, and right now, the way my settings is on, thanks for being on my podcast. I'm just doing this, getting started, my own podcast.
yeah,
But
it'd be bad.
drummer knows best. So we drummers know best. So y'all don't ask no questions. We gonna tell you what to know.
That's the foundation of the music.
Yeah.
If the drummer ain't happening, the band ain't happening.
So for me as a drummer growing up, and in terms of culture and stuff, different ethnicities, different races, white people, black people, Spanish people, Japanese people, whatever. Everybody has a culture, a way of doing things.
Right.
Uh, and as far as the music, soul music, as we called it back then, drumming was in the pocket. Most of the black drummers you can't hear me if I clap my hands. I don't have the settings right, but we're gonna get fixed that. But the
Okay.
point I'm making is black cats had a way of, you know, a
Pocket.
funky pocket groove. Everything was that grooving stuff. And
Right.
if you were a drummer when I was growing up in the black community in our culture, you got to be funky. You got to be in the pocket. You couldn't be rock and roll all over the place. You get
Yeah.
you get fired the first gig, you be out of there. And
Yeah.
and when I heard Sly and the Family Stone without knowing you were in the band, and everybody who come up in my era would tell you this, nobody thought that's a white guy
Yeah.
playing
I
like
know.
that.
Yeah.
Your ass was funky as a goat, man.
Yeah. I remember the first time we played the Apollo in Harlem. I was a little nervous, you know what I mean?
My dad was the MC at the Apollo Theater.
Well, you know they had a tune there. I mean, you better if you're going to show up, you better bring it. And I wasn't
Bah!
worried, or throwing shit at you, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And but no, it was cool. After just like Summer of Soul, if you look at that footage, you know
Yes.
this is about a whole half hour. We were late, first of all, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
that poor dude that was the MC, he was trying to hold that crowd, and I felt for him, man, because they were there. It was like, what you got? You know what I mean? And then as soon as we hit it, it was like, oh, yeah, I knew what we could do, So we went through all that, but
What made you
that was part of the thing. I mean, that
what
was
made
fun.
what yeah, but what made you play like that, Greg? What was it that inspired you to play like that? What
Real
was it?
simple, real simple. That's just what I was feeling. And,
Mm-hmm.
I got to say, growing up in the Bay Area, which is a world cultural intersection,
Of
people
course
from
it
all over
is.
the world there. And there
Mm-hmm.
was jazz there, there was R&B, there was
Yeah.
church, there was African, there was Cuban, there was so I'm exposed to all this naturally, and I'd love music. So I did. There was not it like it was one favorite. It was all music that was good.
That's right.
I was feeling it. So I had all this input, and it was just a natural thing. I mean, just like Larry and I, we had chemistry. It was. I mean, we never used to talk about this or plan it or discuss it. We just did it, and we knew
Man,
when it connected. We just look at each other and things would sparkle in our eyes, and we just go on and go there.
see, that's the thing that on my podcast talking about drumming, that I keep putting emphasis on the bass player and the drummer. You're like
Oh yeah,
two
yeah,
Siamese twins. You're like
yeah,
two and one. Like
yeah,
you're right here together.
yeah.
You're clammed. You're like locked in, man. And good bass players and drummers make the whole band swing and feel good. And that's
So
what you and Larry, all bands with good bass players and drummers become very
right,
successful, in my
right.
opinion,
That's right.
because of that. Because
Yeah.
you're not playing all against each other and challenging. You're just playing together, doing the step together.
hmm It was either like I mean, we realized that early on that it had to whatever like we just call them patterns in each song, and within the
Yeah.
song the patterns would change, and there would be there was the verses, there was the choruses, there were the bridges, and everything had its place. It's like very animated, like a cartoon. It had an image. I always had an image when I'm playing. Everything had a picture, and each part of the song was a picture. And I knew early on that whatever it was, as simple as it was, and it wasn't always about all the stuff you're playing. It was about the spaces you're leaving. As a matter of fact, that was even more important. The holes between the notes, or just as important, if not more important, than what you're playing. And you do it together, and you do it big, and you do it loud, and definite. It's like an anchor. It's like a foundation. Or you're playing contrapunto. It's like you're not playing everything together. It's like you're playing either answering each other or as a pattern, or like if I'm putting the bass drum here, Larry's putting it over here, and it's a pattern, and you keep repeating that, and it gets across. It creates a feel, it creates a spirit, and it's very powerful.
Exact. It's like an engine. It's like
Yeah.
an engine. It's like the cam in the engine, the pistons,
hmm
the
Right.
fan
They're all
going
working
on.
together.
Everything is when I was growing up down south, all the musicians would tell me, "Hey man, make it be like a washing machine." When they had the old washing machines that you go,
or a train. A
yeah, or a
train.
train.
I
That's why I'm
remember
a
it
train.
who was it, Bernard Purdy talking about he lived near the train track. And he was talking about one of that Bernard the shuffle or something like that,
Yeah,
the funk shuffle, and he go, I got that from a train, man.
yeah.
You,
I
you
got.
listen,
I'm a
you know,
train man.
yeah,
I was a kid, the train used to go through my community. We used to wait for the train, and the engineer was nice. He had a box of lollipops he used to throw at us. We wait for him. We'd fight over those lollipops. Hey, but I'm a train man. Buddy Miles was a train guy. He
Yeah, buddy.
loved
Oh,
trains.
buddy, man. Yeah.
I am a train hobbyist. Neil
Mm.
Young loved trains. He had like bought Lionel trains. I love trains. Everything
Hmm.
I do is based on trains. When I do a shuffle, like going down the track, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that train is heavy. So whatever noise it's making, it repeats. And ain't nothing gonna touch it. Nothing's
yeah,
gonna change that, man. It doesn't change
uh,
quick either.
I'm glad we didn't have the bullet train because it's smooth. Bullet train is like a missile.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
gone. Right.
we got. But so now you're playing, man. Your snare drum, I love that snare. You had a snare. Now I'm gonna make a guess. Tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong. I bet you had a Ludwig snare, didn't you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was
That
the
that damn
Ludwig.
snare drum,
Yeah. The Chrome, the Supersonic.
the Super Sun, that snare is on every hit record in the damn world, man.
Yeah. With
That
with the Remo Weather King frosted head. Right?
hell
There's
yes.
no
That's
there's no black dot back then.
no, 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 no.
And then you
Don't
had the
don't
clear on the bottom. Yeah.
yeah, don't the only black dot would be some blood when you hit the rim too hard.
Yeah, and I had that too.
I've done that before. God dang it.
Yeah.
That snare sound and your hi-hats, were they 14s? Were they big hats?
I
Or were
used
they
both 14s and I had 15s at a point in time too. Matter of fact, I gave my they were cracked too, and on a lot of those records, it was a set of Zildjian 15. And I gave them I loaned them to Steve Jordan, and he still has them. We won't get back.
well, get them back, man.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool.
So now you guys are making the hits, man.
Yeah.
And you're writing, Sly is writing, you guys are putting music together about the times as they go. And when I say time, I'm gonna have to talk about this, folks. If you don't go, first of all, if you don't have Sly and the Family Stone's music, go get it, go listen to it. This guy here that I'm talking to right here, everybody, man, just go listen. If you don't really know, you need to know. Now, when you guys recorded In Time, you're the first drummer. Now, I may be wrong. Somebody might correct me, but you're the first drummer to play with a drum machine, so to speak.
Well,
With a
no, no, it's I mean, I did later on, but there was no drum machines
not
when we
drum.
first
I mean,
started.
I'm gonna call it the first drum machine. On that organ, it used to be a little bossa nova beat. You could
But that came
that on.
that came after. That came actually
Oh, so you laid the
71.
drums first. You did the
No, no,
drums
no,
first.
no, no, no. We did all our tracks live, and there was no clicks back then, or
Right, right.
nor did we use a metronome. It was just all natural. And then I would overdub before mixing all the singles. I'd go back in and cut my part again and just lock it into, because it's you lay the track, and then as you're writing and the
Yeah,
song is growing and is morphing into what it's going to be, sometimes arrangements, so even the feel may change a little bit.
yeah,
And
yeah.
on every one of our singles, I went back in and cut the drums again just before mixing, cut the drum track again, locked it down, and then that was it. That's the performance. Now, after I left the group in 71, Sly had a lot of pressure to keep on
Yeah.
recording and stuff, and he goes, "What am I gonna do?"
So
So he kept calling me, and I didn't come down to LA, and so he took the drum machine. That's how that started.
Oh, so now I'm glad you
Yeah.
corrected me. I didn't do
Hmm.
my homework to understand that because I ain't no
That's right.
homework guy. But I know when that song came out In Time,
Right.
it's got I remember growing up in Florida, it was one other guy who used that organ thing with that bossa nova beat.
Yeah.
Timmy Thomas. Why can't we
Hmm.
live together?
Yeah. but
Everybody wants to live. Hmm?
I think that was even after, a little bit after, maybe the same year, but it was a little bit after, if I remember correctly.
If I'm not correct, and we can go check it, but I know,
That'd be interesting. I
that,
know which one you're talking about too.
yeah,
I remember,
but
yeah.
you know what I'm talking about with that little
Yes.
bossa nova beat.
Yeah.
And then In Time has that same sound on there.
Well, it was the Rhythm King. It's called a Rhythm King.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Rhythm King drum machine. And, guys used to use it to play it in the lounge at the Holiday Inn.
Yes, that.
And this was like lame stuff. I mean, it wasn't.
I
I
know.
mean, there was a couple bossa novas on there, a cha cha or something, and then it's straightforward. That's all it was. But when
Yeah.
Sly used it, I had talked about this. I think in the movie. Yeah, he so he would start, instead of you press the button, you're starting on the one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So you press the button 1, 2, 3, or end. That's where the N2 or N3 is
Yeah,
where he would
yeah.
start it on the one. So it turned the whole thing inside out and made, "Oh, what's that?"
So
I
that's
mean,
my so Greg, that's my idea of saying that was like the first time anybody had a human drummer play with a mechanical beat
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And that was
yeah,
back in 71, 72, because
right.
because In Time was released. It came out in like
Right
72.
on riot. There's a riot going
Yes,
on, right? Yeah. That's it.
that's one of my favorites, folks.
Yeah,
Go get it.
that's it.
I'm going to put it on one of my jackets.
And so that's the period. So there was a couple tracks that we didn't complete that were recorded the year before. For instance, uh, Thank You for Talking to Me, Africa, which is a slowed down, deep in the dirt version of Thank You, slowed way
Yes.
down in the pocket. So he took that and he finished it then. So I'm on a couple of the tracks, but that was when I had left, basically, that period.
Did he play drums?
He did play on one or two of the tracks, and then Andy Newmark, I think, came in then, or he may have been the year after that. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. But it's
So
credit. What's credited there is what it is. You know, I mean, I don't have it in front of me, so I can't tell you verbatim, except that I know I played on a couple of the tracks, but they had been cut the prior year and never
right.
finished. Right.
But now I gotta ask you about this one, my favorite one. This one, Sex Machine, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What you got a long version like there? I think I heard an unedited version where the whole thing. Were you in there just grooving, or what?
Yeah.
How did it happen?
Again, so the track was cut, and that is the basic track. That is the original basic track, but I did overdub the drum solo in the same way, like I was talking about it. We did the singles that go back and recut, and so the drum solo, was kind of like an afterthought. So this turned
Time
into a
out.
thing where
Time
every,
out. Time
everybody
out.
could take a solo, right?
Time out. Time out. So you played the track and then you did a overdubbed another groove in with that track?
Not with the whole thing, no. Just where the drum solo breaks down to just that was just brought up and took out the basic track which was there. So it was all done with editing and stuff,
Yeah, of
overdub and
course. But
editing.
I heard the unedited version of that track, the long extended of it.
Yeah,
And then
but it's
then they're laughing, like you stop playing and I hear everybody laughing. Was that like, hey,
because when I
Greg,
did
get your
the
ass over here, we're done? Was it that kind of attitude?
when I did the solo, so I'm in there overdubbing my solo, right? And got it, and I didn't have anything necessarily planned out, just went for it. So
Yes.
I'm going at the end of the thing, and I'm slowing down, doing like the thing between, the kick and, hitting the one and the two and the four, the
Yeah.
and I got the cans on, my head's down, and Sly, Larry, and Freddie were in the control room. Well, they had snuck out while I was slowing down, and I didn't see them. They came up behind me, and when I hit that last, it pulled cans off like they and start cracking up there. We blew your mind. And we just left
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And it was, it was a smile. So we left it on there.
I'm in the Family Stone. I adopt myself into the band now. Like the Neville Brothers. I love the Neville Brothers so
Oh
much.
yeah.
We used to
Yeah.
tour with the Neville Brothers. Man, I'd be in the corner just watching Cyril and the brothers Art and I just it's something about bands that's got family members in it. It's a
Hmm.
different kind of thing, man.
Yeah, it
Even,
is.
even with Tony, God rest his soul, just passed
That's
from the band.
that's right.
But something about bands that's got family members, Brothers Johnson, it's something about that connection with their growing up together that makes it groove naturally.
It's got an extra element, let's say, that is unique and it connects with people. It makes the music connect with people. It's got a
And
spiritual
and I,
thing.
yeah, so I came and hung out with the Family Stone, and man, I couldn't believe it, man. I uh, when the guitar player showed up, Freddie showed up. I saw him walking. I walked by him, and I didn't know who he was. And we were backstage, and I saw him and his daughter walking, and he had that certain aura about himself. He was like just really cool. I didn't know who he was. I just go, oh, there's a guy backstage, and
Yeah.
I was going different direction. And when I saw him, he kind of looked at me. He was like, do
Hmm.
what the brothers used to do when brothers see each other. They kind of do the chin.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, you know about the chin.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
so that's from brothers, that's some brother stuff right there.
Yeah,
But he
right.
did he gave me the chin and I gave him the chin. I was like, wow, that's cool, brother, right there. And then Nate and Blaze and everybody introduced me in fun. That's my uncle. That's Uncle Freddie. I was like, oh man, what's up, Freddie? I felt like I knew him.
Yeah.
He's
Oh
just so
yeah.
cool, man. Freddie's so cool, and he's
Yeah.
he's uh he's a reverend, he's a minister, so.
That's right. Yeah.
And we were on the side of the stage, man, and watching them play y'all's music, and it was just I could see in his face that he was like, "Yeah, I created that music." Is that
Yeah.
how you feel when you go see the band and you're not playing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the music was special at the time that we did it. It felt before we did it, it felt like this is going to be unique and different, and I can't wait to feel what this is. And then during and then after, and then to learn later on as decades go by that it's still relevant and that it did what it did, to people, inspiration and man, I grew up. That's part of my life, and and you got to, you got to understand it was, when we stopped touring and all that, and computers hadn't come out yet. So
Right, right.
then you go up about 10 years later to in the mid 80s. I remember this guy had brought a computer out to me and turned me on and said, you got to get into this, computer, and it was this big box, you know what I mean? And then, make the long story short, after I got into it and email and all that stuff, you start communicating with people that you would never have connected with any other way, that are just like they're your neighbor. They're knocking on your door, say, "Hey, man, I got to tell you," and they tell you the story of their
Right.
experience and all these experiences and inspirations of what the music that we had created did. And it was just great to find that out. It kind of inspired me to get back into it again, because this was like later on, the 80s, 90s, and so it's just an amazing thing, what technology has done to change the world, good and bad. And and just to be part of all that special time that won't happen again.
No,
Something will happen, but not that. That's not going to
no.
happen again. Something's going to happen. Something else,
Yeah, but
inspiring. I hope will happen.
yeah, but I
So,
mean, like when I just and people, anybody that's checking us out, you gotta go check out the documentary. I watched it, man, and you
oh, the
know,
Questlove did. Sly lives. Yeah,
yeah, and just hearing Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis talk about
yeah.
he was in the restaurant eating and heard your song on and he said, I gotta go.
Get
I hear that beat.
get
He
the
took
check.
one snippet of y'all and he made the whole tune off Rhythm Nation off of one piece.
Right.
See, that's what's so goddamn crazy.
Yeah.
When you listen to what you guys did, Greg, you got different sections that's you can just take a piece of the section and make a whole damn song out of that little piece.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
I don't know, it's organic, man. The way you know, I hear Jimi Hendrix and Buddy Miles on Band of Gypsies, and they go,
Hmm.
and there's one, it's like he's like taking a piece of you guys. So you must have ran into Jimmy a lot before Woodstock and
Yeah.
stuff.
When we moved to New York, we used to see him out in the village, and he used to come and hang out a place we played called the Electric Circus
Mm-hmm.
on St. Mark's Square down there in the village. It was a cool place, and he'd come and hang out there. And then I remember me and Sly be walking down the street in the village, and he'd be coming the other way. He's walking with one or two girls, and he'd stop and Sly would stop and say, "Hey man, what were you thinking when you wrote it?" He'd ask me questions about a song, about like what was he thinking when he really got into um about what you're saying, and how important and how powerful that could be if you really had like a focal point, you were going to make a statement. So he was really interested in exploring all that, and look at the stuff that came out that they ended up writing during that period, and it really
You never
was.
recorded. You guys never said. Sly never said, "Hey guys, let's get Jimmy to come in and play on the track." You never did that.
Well, because we never did that. It wasn't about Jimmy or not. It was about just we never did. There was never any guests, even playing live. He was just
You
like that. We
no,
did.
you
We
guys are
came.
like, hey, this is our circle right here. Y'all can't get in this.
It was just what was
No,
what it
I dig
was.
it, but it was you were Family Stone. It's like we got our ingredients. We don't need to bring a guest in. But I just
Yeah, but the what was it? 70. We were in England just before Jimmy had passed. They were talking about Sly and Jimmy and Miles, and
I
talking about
know.
getting together to
Yeah,
do a jam session, record it. Which would have been really. I wish that would have came to
I
be,
know.
but it
I
wasn't to be.
I saw there's a track out with Jimi Hendrix in the studio with like five horn players, and he's playing this thing. Chum
Hmm.
chum, ba-da, doom, ba-doom, ba-da. He's got the horn. Ba-da. It was like a
Yeah.
fusion kind of thing. It was cool. He had different ideas, and to me, I know since you guys both work with Bill Graham Presents at the
Hmm.
Fillmores,
Hmm.
and when at Band of Gypsies, one thing I noticed about him at Band of Gypsies, you could tell he was tired of the gimmicks. He was like, today ain't gonna be a gimmick day. Today I'm
Hmm.
getting ready to play heart and soul. He stands, watch it. He's standing flat-footed, playing his heart and soul out. Machine
Hmm.
Gun, just saying Machine Gun, I'm getting chills in me right now,
Yeah.
Greg. He
Yeah.
just focused.
I remember seeing Buddy for the first time. We had heard about him with this band called the Electric Flag,
Yeah, I
and
know.
so
Yeah.
we're in New York City, and we heard he was at what was this Cafe Go Go or something in New York City, and the Flag was playing, and Sly and I went in to see him, and Buddy was just rocking the cement that was holding that building up.
There is no drummer alive on this planet that loved Buddy Miles more than me.
Yeah, cool.
Buddy Miles was
So
my
good.
hero. What BB King is the guitar players and Jimmy and all of that. Buddy Miles is to me. None of you drummers out there love Buddy Miles more than Tony Coleman, okay?
Yeah.
And if you say you do, we'll fight about it. Come on, bring it.
When I moved back up from LA to San Francisco to the Bay Area, lived in LA for a while. When I came back up, 85, Buddy and I had put a group together. We had a group for about a year, and it was a song. Matter of fact, I got to remember to send it to you. We did it. There's a demo. This is just like in the studio rehearsing demo with
Yeah,
a couple mics up. That's all it is. But I'll send it to you. It's
please do.
called
I have to see
Let
you.
Me Be the One. Let Me Be the One.
Good. I got to play on a track on one of his tracks. A friend of mine named Johnny King worked with Buddy, and they recorded some stuff, and he put me on the track with Buddy. I got to
Oh
send it
yeah,
to you. And
yeah,
so Buddy liked to have another drummer to play with, two drummers,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So you and
We
Buddy together?
Well, no, this particular one, I'm playing drums. He's singing,
Yeah, I
but
know.
later on, 73, I think, we did a live album at Craterhead Festival, New Year's Eve in Hawaii. Craterhead, Diamond Head, not Craterhead, Diamond
Okay.
Head, in Honolulu. It was New Year's Eve, and it was Carlos Santana, and Neil Sean, me, Buddy Miles playing together the whole thing. I got footage of it, and we did an album. It came out. It's called Sunshine 72 or Sunshine 73, I think, and that's Buddy and I playing. And it was like the whole original Santana band, except for we're playing drums, and we had a couple of horns and so on. You know, it was a cool jam. Uh,
You got footage of that?
I have Super 8mm footage that I took, and Carlos and I are actually talking about remastering that album and then edit this footage and adding it to it. I'll send you a little bit of that too. Yeah,
Man,
it's all pretty.
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that, man.
Yeah,
You
it's
guys, man. Uh, the first time I met Buddy Miles, it was after about 2 times, 4 times seeing him somewhere in the same area, but we never
mhm.
got to talk. And then I finally got to meet him. And hey, this is my podcast. You ain't in a hurry, are you?
Oh, cool.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you this damn story, and people
Okay.
heard me tell this story. But anyway, I was Buddy Miles fanatic. Okay, and as a kid, man, when Buddy Miles had the Buddy Miles Express with the flag kit and all of that, with the eagle on it,
Hmm.
and the big fro and stuff. Man, I went to see Buddy Miles Express, and I'm yelling his name, man. I'm standing right by the hi-hat, like a venue like the Fillmore where you stand up, everybody stand up.
Yeah.
I ran to the front and his kit was right there, and I could see his hi-hat, Greg. And I'm like, Buddy, oh man. I'm like 15 years old, and I yelled the man's name the whole half of the show, man. I'm like, Buddy, throw me a stick, Buddy. He's trying to play his shit, He's like, damn, this
And
kid won't shut.
I'll bet you got some sawdust on you too. Because he didn't
I
know
was
I
right up.
did.
I was like right under the hi-hat.
Yeah, you got sawdust on you.
So so I keep yelling the man names. Yeah, and Buddy be talking to the audience, Yeah, so how y'all feeling? Everybody say all right. Buddy, don't be a stick. That's going on all damn night, Greg. And so
Oh,
finally
man.
Buddy was like, yeah, we're getting ready to do this song by Neil Young, Down by the River. I love that Buddy, tell me a stick. And we're gonna count. Hey, shut the fuck up. And I was like, Buddy just cursed me out.
Oh
Went
man.
home, took down all my Buddy Miles posters. Fuck
That's
Buddy Miles.
funny.
I don't like, but I don't give a shit about Buddy. Now I'm with BB King playing at the Fairmont Hotel on Nob Hill, and I'm with BB
Yeah,
King, and Carlos and Buddy walks in, and
this must have
Buddy's
been the
looking.
80s. Must
Yeah,
have been
and
the
Buddy,
80s, right? Yeah.
yeah, he had just got out of jail from some problems he had, and he
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be in the Fairmont anywhere to sell alcohol. So
Mhm.
Carlos, he left, but Carlos was backstage. I said, "Hey man, where's Buddy?" He said he had to leave, man. He's not supposed to be anywhere where they sell alcohol. So I finally get to meet Buddy and I tell him that story, man. And god dang it, I got the damn drumsticks. He finally gave me some drumsticks and signed them for me. And I used to hang out with him and play beside him. He played guitar, man. He had a guitar from Jimmy. He played
Yeah,
upside down, just like,
that's right.
man.
Yeah.
And but the guy was incredible. Just another drummer. You guys were my heroes, man.
I got to tell you a quick story since you were talking about Hendrix too and Buddy. So we're on tour in England. I think it was we're playing Furman Island, Germany, and the Isle of Wight Festival, and it's Sly the Family Stone, Jimi Hendrix Experience. And so I think it was on the Isle of Wight. We're staying in this little motel. It's just two stories, and but I got in the elevator to go up, and so the door opens. I'm there, and Jimmy comes in. Just me and Jimmy now.
Yeah,
And
cool.
this seems like a half hour, but like I said, it's two stories. I don't know if the elevator got stuck or what, but we kind of look at each other, and then we're giving each other props. Hey man, digging what you're doing, yeah, digging what you're doing. And Jimmy goes, hey Greg, I'm not really happy with I'm thinking of doing something else. And he looks at me and he goes, what would you dig doing something with me? And after I picked my jaw up from on the ground, put it back up,
Yeah,
I said, man, that would be totally cool. But I couldn't leave the group right now. We're at the top of our game right
yeah,
that time,
yeah.
And I swear to God, about 2 weeks later, a couple weeks later, I heard Band of Gypsies,
Oh,
and
wow.
he had called Buddy, which was a good move, which was a
Oh,
great move
yeah.
for
Yes,
him.
it was.
And yeah, this is,
Uh,
it
either
was
way,
just
it
that
would have been
time.
a good. Either way, would have been a good move.
Yeah,
But
it would have been
wow,
cool.
man. See things like this. This is some fucking important things, man. This is some
Yeah,
important history, man. On
yeah.
the elevator with Jimmy Hendrix, and he's offering you a gig, and you with one of the biggest bands in the business, and who got one of the biggest guitar rock guys in the business, and you one of the biggest drummers in the business, and then this man is saying, hey
Well,
man,
jam
you
with
want
me.
to think about working with me? And you were like,
Yeah.
I know you must have been like, yeah, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I made, I would say, unfortunately, it wasn't too long after that that he passed. Also,
yes, everybody, I know so many people working with BB. I work with the older cats, a lot of guitar players that work with Bobby Blue Bland and BB. And everybody that I know, including yourself, talk about Jimmy, man. Everybody said he was just so cool, man.
hmm
He like be checking people out, studying and learning, and wanted to
yeah.
film people. He was never happy with just being who he was known as.
Yeah. He was a very soft-spoken cat off the stage, but, bigger than life on the stage, of course. Matter of fact, I remember a story about he was doing either Winterland, for Bill Graham, or it was the Fillmore, one of the two places. But it was one of those nights, and Bill would come up. Bill would always be prodding you, come on, this got to be your baddest show tonight, man. And forgot if it was maybe a sound check and he wasn't feeling all that good, and Bill just didn't want to hear about that. You're gonna rip it tonight. I don't give what, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I think that was the night that, yeah, I don't know if you ever seen that footage where he jammed a stack of Marshalls and then lit
yeah,
the, threw the guitar down, lit it on fire, and that whole, you know, whatever Bill said to him, it worked.
Bill knew how to push your buttons
Yeah,
to get you to
yeah, he
play.
did, he did.
I remember
Because,
one
like I
time,
said, he was a soft-spoken guy. He was a gentle
yeah,
cat,
yeah.
but then on stage, it's just this other thing, this other element would appear, and he did what he did, brought that
I remember
best.
one. I remember one time we played at a place in San Francisco. It was called the Galleria, and
Oh
we were.
yeah,
It was like outside, right? So
yeah,
I was backstage, and Bill pulled up in his Mercedes. It was like a baby blue Mercedes or something, and it had
yeah.
lamb seats in it, and
hmm
it was convertible. and it started to drizzle, and I was like, "Wow, Bill's car is out here. I better go let him know." And Bill was handling business, and me being Mr. Tony Coleman gonna help out, always gonna be there to help somebody. So you know Bill Graham, right? So
Right.
it's drizzling, and I'm saying, "Hey man, you need to put that top down, right?" So I go, and he's talking to like BB's manager or something. He's like, "All right." You know how Bill gets intense. He's like,
Yeah.
well, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Bill looked at me. Yeah, what? What? I said, your car is drizzling out. Fuck that car.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that car. Thank you, thank you. And kept talking. It was like Bill, like when Bill was focused on business, he didn't care about nothing. he
Yeah.
was like, he reminded me of a musician who, when you're on stage, you don't feel anything except what you're doing. He was
Right.
very intense like that. So you guys in the Bay Area, man, you must have knew that Bill was going to get you where you needed to be.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was
He
a
was
lot of people.
intense.
I always respected Bill and Doug. A lot of people, say shit about him because
I
he'd be
know he
tough.
was hard, but you have to be
He'd be
hard.
tough. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I
No,
got it. I get it.
you don't go to a baseball bat with nails in it fighting with cotton candy and daisies.
Yeah. That's
Gotta be
right.
tough, man. You gotta be
Yeah.
tough to make things happen. And
Yeah.
and especially during the era that you guys came up with Sly and Jimmy and all of that, and drugs, drugs was everywhere. And it would seem like to me in this business, there's always a group of hanger-ons who want to get close to
Mhm.
you. And if you
Yeah.
got any weaknesses, they will latch on to that weakness and supply you with whatever it is.
Yeah. It
And
just went
and
with the territory.
yeah, and you have to have a strong constitution to come out like you still here and not fall victim to it, because it's a lot of nastiness outside of the beautiful stuff that we do. A lot of leeches come and
Right.
leech and hang on, and so man, I'm surprised a lot of cats didn't make it
Yeah.
during that period. And a lot
Yeah.
of the record company executives supplying coke and everything to everybody to keep them, that was the era of just drugs, rock and roll, and all that sex,
Yeah.
drug, rock and roll. But to be able to make it through that and still, like, and you're still here today, man, God bless you for that, man. You
Yeah.
you
Well,
you,
it's
you
like
must have
anything.
you must
It's
have
like
seen it, and when you got on your Harley, from what I don't know if it was a Harley, you rode off into the sunset away from it, right?
that's right. Well, I mean, it's just a natural thing. I was like I say, you got to attribute it to right time, right place. Where I grew up, kind of a rough area. So I seen all that. Matter of fact, not my elementary school, but my junior high school, I was a minority in the junior high school. I was near Hunters Point, San Francisco, which was all
Yeah.
black area. And so I was like, I grew up with the whole school was black. And I'm one of a handful of white kids in the school. So, but this is just was my life. I didn't, and I mean, where you had to, after school, walking through the tunnel to go home. I had to. I always had my buddies, my black buddies,
Right.
because when you went in that tunnel, you weren't going to come out the other side unless you was with
Right.
someone, or you was the bathroom, or you
Oh
had a
yeah.
piece or something. So
Yeah.
all that and the drugs in high school and all that, I mean, lost so many friends, and so it just it was the natural part. I seen that. Okay, I made my decisions. You know what I mean? So when all that came again, in even a bigger way,
So let me
you
ask you a
know,
question. Let me ask you a question.
easy.
Let me ask you a question about something.
Yeah.
When you were playing with Sly and the Family Stone, and when you guys were really, really, when you were big, man. You guys were so friggin' big. I mean, like Woodstock. Did Woodstock take you over the top? Or what?
There was two, like I said, the most significant day changers, like well, the next day your life is different and never went
Yeah,
back. There were
yeah,
two. One was Ed Sullivan show.
right.
The other was Woodstock.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Because Ed
Period.
Sullivan's show, whoever went on there, you were already a hit as soon as the whole country see it itself in the show.
Put it in perspective. This is 1968.
Yeah,
There's in this country, let alone the world, there were only three networks,
that's
three
right.
places to watch TV. There was no internet, no computers, no nothing. So on Sunday night at 8 p.m., the world seen you literally, because
Yeah.
that's all it was. And I remember sitting, well, the first, we did it three times. And so the first time I remember going down like after the rehearsal that afternoon, no one's there. I went into the audience, like, and the lights were down. And here I'm sitting at the in the seats looking at the stage, and there's Ed O'Shaughnessy's drum kit. And I'm thinking, I'm looking at that. And no one's there. No one's. I'm just by myself. And then just thinking, man, this is where I seen when I was 5 years old. I see Elvis Presley for the
Yeah.
first time. This is where I seen the Beatles on this stage, right there in that spot where I see the Beatles
James
for the first time.
Brown.
Yeah, James Brown, and here I am. You know what I mean? Picture
I've
myself there.
done that. I I
Yeah,
I
you know what I'm
still I
saying?
still do that. I still do that, Greg.
But it was just a powerful game changer,
But
you
back in
know.
those days, of course, you must have been like, wow, you didn't realize because you were now that you're in that pot of all of that, you didn't realize you're one of them too, you know?
Well, it's like I remember us talking about it actually that first time. We're like going outbound to New York to go do the show. We're walking through the airport and we're all together. We got our how we used to dress and loud and everything. No one's
Yeah, I
looking.
used
No
to try to
one's
dress like y'all. I had me a Sly Stone vest.
yeah.
I
No
had
one's
my
looking.
fro.
Nobody said anything. No one stopped us. Nothing. So 2 days later, we're coming back. And we couldn't get through the airport without being stopped every 10 feet. Oh man, you wish I seen you guys like this. Something. And we looked at each other and said, we did nothing different in the last 2 days. What's all this, And it
Did
makes you
you
realize how powerful that was,
you
you
know
know.
who else I like with back there with you guys when you were changing times was the Doors, man.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah,
you you
Morrison.
you obviously you guys ran around together, I'm sure, huh?
Well, they were out of LA. I remember playing, I think it might have been the same night we played this place. It was a round venue, a round stage, and it might have been, Jim Morrison, The Doors, and Sly the Family Stone. I can't
It
remember
wasn't the
the.
Circle Star out there in Redwood City,
No, no,
was it?
no, no. That's it up in the Bay Area. This was down in LA, some place down in Hollywood off of Sunset. I forgot the
The
name of it.
Hollywood Bowl, maybe?
No, it wasn't the ball. It wasn't that big. It was kind of like a Circle Star kind of a venue, but not quite
Right.
as big. It was
Hmm.
down on Sunset. I forgot the name of it. Yeah.
I liked him. I liked him a lot because he was that was when you want to be free. I always wanted to do light my fire.
Well, he was a poet, you know. He was a
Yeah.
poet, and came around at just the right time. And what was the keyboard player's name?
He,
He's actually probably
yeah, he
responsible
lived
for
in
a lot of
he lived in Santa Rosa.
the keyboard player. What was his name?
I
He's
can't think
still,
of it right now, but
yeah.
we played in Santa Rosa. It's a
Mm-hmm.
wine town, right?
Yes, yes.
So
It's
we
like the.
played the theater downtown there, the Santa Rosa Theater.
Hmm.
And we after the show, we were in the hotel at the bar, the band, we just hanging out at the bar and stuff. And I was going, come on, come on, come on, come on, now touch me, babe. Dun-dun-dun. Can't you see that I am not afraid? Dun-dun-dun-dun. And I had the people say, yeah, what was, I was singing the song, I'm gonna love you anyway. I'm singing, I love that song.
Verse
I'm gonna,
choruses.
yeah, I'm gonna record it one day. But anyway,
Yeah.
so we were hanging around. We're the BB King band. Everybody know we're in the, we're in whatever. So then the bartender walks up to me and goes, "Hey, you know that song you were singing about the Doors?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "The keyboard player was right down there while you were singing," and he said, "Wow, they're singing our song." I said, "What?" I said, "Where is he?" He said, "Oh, he just left." Just like, man, I ran out there to look for him. He said he left about 10 minutes ago. I was like, "Come back, where are you?"
Hey,
But
did you know? I wanted to ask you. Uh, I don't know if we were playing on the same venue or it was a festival or something, and it was a big place. And I ran into a guy that was at the time your road manager, and I knew him real well. Terry McVeigh. Terry
yeah,
McVeigh. He worked
yeah,
for you, right?
yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
And he was at a production company that I knew him from a production company that I worked for quite a while. And
Right.
I just wanted to know if you remembered him. Terry McVeigh, an
Oh yeah,
English cat. He had a heavy English accent. Nice guy, man.
yeah,
Terry
yeah.
McVeigh. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's funny,
So it
man,
was
how we run into each other on the road in different
yeah,
places. See, and
yeah.
I have this thing about tour buses and airports. I was coming from Seattle the other day, and this tour bus rolled by me, and I was like, I wonder who's in that mug. So so so
Yeah.
so I'm kind of following it, right? It's raining and stuff. I'm thinking, yeah, that might be somebody I know in that damn bus. If they pull over, I'm headed to Portland. I say they must be headed to Portland. So I'm like, oh, it's exiting. So I'm like following the bus like fan, right? And the bus pulls up at this little hotel. I go, they're checking in this little hotel here. It was in Kalama, Oregon,
Mhm.
some little town, and it was Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel, who's a friend of mine.
Cool. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I pulled up with my truck, the driver looked at me like, "Who
What
is
you
this?"
doing?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
"Hey man, who you rolling with?" He said, "Huh?" I said, "I'm BB King's drummer for 30 years." "Oh, Ray Benson." I said, "That's my friend. Tell Ray I'm out here, man." And Ray came out and we hung
Mhm.
out for about 45 minutes. But to make it in this business, you got to have that kind of attitude about this if you want to be successful in the music business. In my opinion, you
You
want to
got to be
meet.
passionate. You got to be
Yeah, you
passionate
got.
about it.
Man, I love this so much, man. What we do and just being able to talk
Yeah.
with you, and it's more to me than just a podcast to talk about how you hold your drumsticks. It's who you are, man, and what you've done. It's amazing. And in other countries, you go to Europe and all over the world. Imagine you go to Europe being from Italy,
Yeah.
guy, but they appreciate us more
Hmm.
so than here at home.
It's
They
true.
they appreciate artists and who we are and what we've done. And if I said to somebody in Starbucks, well, I ain't gonna say Starbucks, take that back. Anyway, if I say something about, I hear, uh, wanna take you higher, and I'm sitting there and going, and people are doing like that, and you and I are sitting there, and I go, hey, you hear that song? You like it? I love it. It's cool. Yeah, what is that? It's called I Want to Take You Higher. That's the drummer right here. Really? You're on that? Yeah, you ever heard of Sly the Family Stone? No. Well, go check them out, damn it.
Mm.
You go to Europe, people be immediately know who you are. You go to Japan, man, they have your whole repertoire, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
I
it's
want to
it,
I want to use this platform to. I don't want this to be the last time we be on a podcast. I want to honor the fact that you've done some great stuff, man. And I can't say it enough to you, and people be saying, man, Tony, he act like he's a fan or something. I am a goddamn fan. What the hell is you talking about?
I got to tell you, in that reference, I remember I had heard about. I went to see in Oakland. I went to see D'Angelo one night, and there was two cats that I kind of knew pretty good. The musical director, it was quite Q was playing drums. Questlove was playing drums, and Pino Palladino was playing bass. And I'm not
Mhm.
sure if Pino was a music director for D'Angelo or was Questlove. So anyway, I'm after the show, I'm in the back talking to them all and talking to Q, and they got all these tour buses lined up. And he comes up to me, goes, Greg, man. He goes, I got to tell you something. He goes, you know what we be listening to? when we're going from point A to point B in those buses, he goes, I got Betty Davis on. If I'm in luck, I just might get picked up. He's talking about the Betty Davis album that I produced. And I go, really, man? Because on the bus, that's what everyone's doing. You're listening to
That's right.
some music. He goes, that's all we're playing, man, on that. And that's when I first met him. And then come to be, he got involved in a concert that I actually had a copy of that a week after we did it, 3 weeks before Woodstock in Harlem. It was called the Harlem Music Festival or something like that then, and it never seen the light of day. It just got overshadowed by Woodstock and the media and everything. And for whatever the reason, the guy
We
that
know what the
produced it.
reason was because it was a bunch of black folks, man. They didn't take it serious.
Yeah, but over the years, he was never the guy that owned it and that produced it. Yeah, it just and I always kind of like scratch my head. Well, how come he never made an agreement to license this and it come out? It was I had no idea that concert was filmed over several weekends and all those people on it. My reality was that it was just this concert that we did. It was a last minute thing. We showed up for it, and it was just that weekend we were headlining. I didn't even know who was on the rest of that day. But
See,
not
this is a good. Go ahead.
yeah, not until I got to Q got involved, and he was asked to be director and get involved in it, which he kind of I heard that he was kind of reluctant to do because I got no movie experiences. Yeah, this is music, and he's a musicologist,
Of
and
course.
he's really into it. Matter of fact, when it was first shown to him, the footage, I had heard that he kind of he was rolling for about 5 minutes into it. He stood up. He said, "Wait, stop!" And he looks at everybody in the room that they're watching this footage. He goes, "Oh, I never heard about this. This is being a musicologist and into the history of things that have happened in the past. Nobody knew anything about it. It's like one of those things, and they were
Well,
ready. From what I understand, they were the guy that filmed it had all the tapes and at his home in the basement, and he had passed away now, and the wife who now has his stuff was getting ready to put it in the dumpster. and and I guess some people had heard about it and they went over, knocked on the door, says, "Hey, we'll pay you for that. We
I
want this. We want this footage."
I understand everything you're saying.
Yeah,
But you see, Greg, here's the thing about you and guys like you and musicians like you and people like you. You're such a good person with such a good heart and a good soul. And you're just a good guy. I'm a good guy too, but I ain't gonna sit here and talk no bullshit. I'm telling you the truth.
yeah,
It's a reason why that shit didn't happen and people weren't
sure there
excited
is.
about it because a bunch of black people in Harlem and all the white people who are running the industry and the business and got the
Yeah,
money to put shit out, since the person who could do it and lift it up and make it happen got the money and he goes, nah, I don't really care about that. Let's go to the next
yeah,
thing. So
it was
that happens a
overshadowed.
lot. And people like to don't want to talk about that kind of stuff. But I mean, today, I ain't talking about politics. I'm just talking about people, the way people react. I guess
Yeah,
it is politics. You cannot not talk about politics.
well, it
But
goes to show you.
I'll just say this. There's no fucking way that if you would have got Sly the Family Stone would have got the same attitude and push and marketing throw at Sly the Family Stone as the Beatles. I love the Beatles. As the Who, I love the Who. As the Rolling Stones, I fucking love the Rolling Stones. But they got marketing money put into them to keep them to grow and grow and grow and grow.
Right.
If Sly the Family Stone had the same kind of publicity money and shit put behind you that they had on an equal level, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and all these groups like you, shit, you'd be big as the Stones too.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, let's just be for real, man. You
yeah.
know, and I ain't saying it to piss nobody else. Anytime you tell the truth, they go, "Oh, he's being mean." Shut the fuck up. I'm telling the
Well,
truth.
but it just shows you things that really do connect on an honest level. No matter whether they're suppressed or they get lost or they're buried or whatever, it rains and it sprouts out and the sun shines and it appears again, whether it's a few months later, a few years later, or a couple decades later. It will
Yeah.
still find its
Well,
way. It'll find its way to light, you
well,
know?
I appreciate all of that. I appreciate that. You guys, people like you and Sly. I mean, man, Sly, I don't know the man, but I feel like I know him and I love him. I sincerely love Sly Stone. I don't even know him, but I know
Hmm.
all of you and I know his daughter and his brother and you and everybody. But that guy's a fucking genius, man. He's a musical genius. This
Yeah.
ain't no joke. And how, Matt, how's he doing? Do you talk to him? How is he doing?
His health, all he's still there, and just like Fun has said, or his daughter
I
Novena
love
has said,
fun.
he
That's my
just
that's my little niece.
he's just like an old black man and enjoying his life, man. It's just she broke it down to like just simple. It is what it is, which is very cool. It makes you
I,
go, oh, okay,
I gotta get Jerry. I want to get all you guys. I want to get you. I want to talk
Yeah,
to everybody, man. I got Jerry said he'll do my podcast. I want to
good,
talk to
good,
fun. I want to talk to all of them out there because they're representing some great music, some great history that you guys laid. And
yeah,
I'm not gonna sit here and not toot your horn for you. I'm the big mouth. I'm the one. I'm the one that's gonna be talking shit. If they don't like it, I'm too damn bad. I'm gonna acknowledge who you are. You know, it's so many talented people, man. Like in the Bay Area, uh, my friend Narda Michael Wallen, he's another one I'm gonna get on the
Mm,
podcast. But Narda,
good,
Narda is a drummer that's wow, he's taken the drums and become like people don't even realize all the great music he has helped produce from
yeah.
all the different variations of music.
Yeah, drummers make good producers.
We make the best.
That's right.
We make the best. And
Hey,
all of
brother, I got to tell you, I got to run, but it's been a blast hanging with you.